And yes, we can start. So yeah, speaking of the AI and how we can maximize the email potential with all of those tools out there, with all those prompts out there, and with general recommendation. And usually we start with the number, and today is the number about the entire AI market, like AI software market will be huge. And like it's starting to booming around like last November when OpenAI released the GPT and everyone's starting to utilize this as their like everything basically, content generator, personal assistant, travel manager, whatever. And people already predicted that AI market will lead to like more than 100 billion by the end of 25, including the like general NLP processing, robotics automation, and machine learning startups. And everyone's starting to build all products with the AI enabled, with API from OpenAI, maybe with a Stable Fusion or Midjourney, with all of others. So which is good. And for the fact for the last 5 years, not taking the fact that there is a lot of like crypto booming, those metaverse booming, but no one reached the top with all those technologies because it's not the right time and not kind of hardware that can handle the entire metaverses. But with the AI is different story. After the hot release of the GPT is starting to really booming, even my like parents starting to using the GPT, which is like they really don't like know nothing about the internet, and even they know about the GPT. That's weird, right? So yeah, want to add something, Chelsea?
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I actually had a similar experience where I was showing my in-laws Midjourney and ChatGPT, and they just couldn't quite wrap their head around it. I think Midjourney was a little more impactful just because it was visual, and it just kind of blew their mind away. My mother even saw that Canva had started implementing AI features, and she was like, "Oh, look, you can just use Canva now. Like it does what you do." And it was like one of those moments where like a face palm moment, where I could just I had the opportunity to educate her a little bit. So I think that's a good segue into what we're talking about today. And it's going to be implemented and integrated into everything we use. And it won't just be like a crypto or NFT fad or boom, it's going to be a big part of our future.
Right. And speaking like more on the like sales and marketing numbers, a lot of marketers and salespeople, even though our clients, our partners, everyone's starting to implement AI. Everyone's starting to generate content. I guess one of my like partner asked me a question: if you like generate a lot of AI content, who will read it? And basically answered another AI, which is will summarize it, maybe prioritize it, and like AI for the AI, you would say. But we'll see. There is a lot of people out there who like really afraid to use it, for the fact like more than 60% of marketers already are starting to use it to like generate content, to give the headlines of the like advertising campaigns, maybe for their blog or whatever. I know some people generating a lot of content for socials, including the visuals, which is like Midjourney can generate.
Yeah, I found a lot of these stats to be almost surprising in an optimistic way. The fact that there are over 60, the majority of marketers in this survey are using it in some capacity, that the majority are optimistic. I think that's really great to see. I hear a lot on Twitter specifically where some people are getting a little annoyed with the noise, right? And I think we're at this really big inflection point where I think we'll go over this hump of it's not just noise anymore. The Twitter threads will calm down a little bit, and just seeing that there's some optimistic views and people are, obviously this is one survey, but a lot of people are open to it. I think that's really great to see.
Also, there is the funny number that 70% of people believe that AI can outperform humans in their jobs. And that's the funny fact. So I'm like not agree 100% on this, because it's the matter of the logic and the matter of the request prompt, maybe how you will ask the AI to do your job on your behalf. And this funny fact that people are really afraid, but in the reality, you can ask questions to like the same like GPT-4, 5, etc., and the answer could be wrong, but in a way that it's saying and replying to you as confident as they can, utilizing all those facts over the internet. It's really like it's called like AI hallucination or so, when the fact is not right or wrong or lies, and you reading this and you're like, oh my God, this is so true, and I will use it as like my argument in like some topic, which is really interesting. But again, it's all about the logic, all about the request. On the last webinar, we drilled down about the like prompting. If you're getting the right prompt, not just like I want you act like email marketer, draft me an email. But if you will go like deeper than that, like I want you be my email marketing with the like this experience in this field, analyze this marketing trends for this year, let's say use tone of voice, like business tone of voice, and do some advices, great clear call to action accordingly to email marketing best practices. It would be really different reply if you would just say to the any neural language there, like act like or draft me, or it's the matter of the request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. You actually had a lot of good points there that I could unpack, but it's kind of like what you put in is what you get out, right? So that's why prompts and prompt guides and prompt engineers are becoming really prevalent right now. So what you put in really depends, or what you get out of it really depends on what you put in, right? If you put crap in, you're going to get crap out, but also it learns as you go, which I don't think a lot of people know yet. Like every prompt in a row is continually learning. And I think that's an interesting point where I feel very strongly that AI won't replace us, but I think a human who knows how to use and harness AI may replace you, right? Because it's going to be such an important tool. I mean, it is and going to continue to be such an important tool that it's really imperative for people to continually learn and have a shared language around it. It's just like when the internet came out, we didn't understand how all of our computers were connected across the world and how they were talking to each other and what is an intranet and what is the World Wide Web. There is a big learning curve in society. So I think we're starting to see that again, and it's not going to replace humans specifically. So I think believing that 71% of people believe that AI can outperform humans at their jobs, it's that to me is a surprisingly high number, but also just shows that there's a lot of exciting need and opportunity to continue having these conversations and learning from each other. But the tech needs us to get smarter, right? It can only get so far without us. And I think that's an important point there.
Right, totally agree. And also interesting thought about the like AI prompting. I thought it would be like different profession that people will utilize their knowledge, logic in a way to get the right request, get the right data, get the right results from the AI. But I think in the nearest future, it would be great, like hard skill AI prompting, and it will be great, like in terms of like your own skill, your learning curve to implement it over your processes. Rather, it would be like another person who will like do for their job just prompting the AI, GPT, Midjourney, and others. So it would be like a really beneficial skill. So it's worth to dive deep into AI prompting with the right logic request, and you will be like surprised with the results from that.
Okay.
So yeah, speaking of AI trends, we have like pull everything together with like personalization, with conversation intelligence, predictive analysis, omnichannel outreach, and efficiency boost. And by meaning that, so there's the great way to utilize all of those like technology that booming, not just for like doing text job for you on your behalf, but working with the data. So we will share more case studies how another companies implemented in way personalization or conversation intelligence or like working with data or any other cases the AI. But the fact is that AI can like read data really quick, and you can like implement this over your like subject line, body of emails. Like even though your HTML code can be improved by utilizing the code interpreter from the ChatGPT plugins that they announced recently, you can have like predictive analysis. And for instance, the case I am shared like for the Google spreadsheet and get an access for everyone who having the link, share this with the GPT-4 and starting to ask questions about my data over my spreadsheet. And like it's kind of 10-second job and it's starting to give me right advice about each tab that I have there, for instance, like for the P&L or with the dashboard of sales performance or marketing performance. And this is the like not that predictive way to use it. So you can share those links and it will read those links and give you advice. It's like, give me advice about the performance of those people in the sales department or in the marketing department. Or what is your idea with like certain situation, how I can decrease my customer acquisition cost? And you will end up with the really maybe generic, but in a way you're asking the AI, like in your prompt, the advices or feedback about your data. And it like requires for you, I guess, like maximum 1 hour to get all those data, pull the spreadsheets, ask the right question, and you will already have an answer without like having hire senior marketer, head of marketing, head of sales, VP of sales, or whatever. And it like really works good. So I think for all listeners, we will share some AI prompts that we're utilizing as our library. So everyone would be like, I guess, curious what we are using if we are so confident in all those AI prompting. So would really happy to share it. Also, like speaking of embracing the change, I giving you the mic, Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I think our summarization of trends here is really interesting. You know, yours in blue, I think they're very complementary. A lot of mine are very philosophical, and they really connect to each other, right? But like around the idea of embracing change, as I said earlier, we're at this really big inflection point in tech, like you mentioned, where there's a lot of people signed up for this compared to other webinars, I think, because we're all curious, you know, and if those who are, you know, I think we're all at different spectrums of how we understand AI and how we don't and how we want to learn. So that's a big part of embracing that change. And I think I kind of already touched on this with like AI not becoming a fad, but it's worth emphasizing because it's going to be integrated in everything that we use. And when Google search generative experience becomes live and Bayard becomes live and everyone can use it and see it, it's going to completely change how we use Google. And that I think is huge. I mean, think of how many millions and billions probably of users rely on Google in our daily lives. So it's going to have a really huge impact. And I think there was this quote I heard the other day that really hits the nail on the head with this point of embracing change. They didn't attribute it, but it's again, like the AI will not replace the human, but a human who does not understand or know AI at all could be replaced or become irrelevant. And I think that's just a good mindset to have, to just kind of embrace the change. And you don't have to understand large language models and how they work and neural networks, but to a certain extent, you know, some shared language around it and just kind of embracing that change will be really helpful so that everyone can participate in AI in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and like it's really hard for the people to like embrace the change that there's new technologies out there, and maybe like everyone already tired about all of those AI news that someone do something with the AI, like do their digital like portrait, they speak to those digital portraits, they're selling those kind of $1 per minute as a bot for some like knowledge base, like gathered all the data that person having, answering to this to some sort of neural language and like pulling all those like startups. So yeah, that's the fact that we need to embrace the change in terms of like adopting those technologies, because it can be really beneficial to save our time and be just more efficient with the data, with the work, with all those like hard hand work, a lot of text, a lot of copywriting, handwriting, data, working with the data visualizing, and even though with the code. So there's a lot of people who really building apps with no code experience, with simply with all those technologies.
Yeah, you're
And
bringing up a good point. Oh, sorry to interrupt you there, but I think that's
no
a good
problem,
point too on the democratization of AI, right? And what that really means for innovation and healthy competition. And you don't need to have a PhD to utilize AI. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, human-centric approach, collaboration between AI and humans is crucial. We discussed that there is simply needs to be like logic behind. And for those people who really are afraid that AI will replace them, remember that you can like turn off the AI from the socket and and it will turn off, and data servers or whatever will just shut down. So that's not the threat that we wanted to like be afraid of. So yeah,
Yeah,
controlling.
oh, sorry, I wanted to touch on those
Yeah,
too. The human-centric approach and collaboration between AI and humans is really important to highlight too, I think, because you need what we call like human in the loop. You know, there's full AI where you're asking AI to write an email for you. You're more specifically, you go to ChatGPT, ask it to write an email for you, and then you use that email specifically, copy and paste verbatim in your email marketing newsletter or email that day, or as a seller, you're copy and pasting that and then blasting it out to your prospects and buyers. And we don't, you know, here at Lavender, we don't recommend using full AI because you always need that human touch, right? So AI in whatever capacity can do 80 to 90% of the work for you. It can help you. It's an assistant. It's meant to help get you started, but you're always going to need that human touch. If you think about any sort of technology we use in our lives, from Siri to Alexa to Google to you know, you name it, like any app on your phone or your iPhone, your AirPods, like they never work all the time, right? So it's never going to be perfect. And with AI specifically, it needs a symbiotic relationship between the AI and the human. So that human in the loop element is really critical.
true. And speaking of control, accountability, so in a way, you work with the AI, you always like control the things that like all data that requires like a lot of attention, working with like different data assets with the all those technologies is starting to be really simple, and in a matter of seconds you can get data insights from all of those like data assets, so which is also good. And it's like, I guess AI trend is all about the efficiency, and we can like embrace the fact that we can like implement it in every spectrum of our life. And for instance, I'm like really tested it out as my travel agent. So it's not like that predictive way of using AI, and you're just saying you now like travel gate from like New York, give me the list of most like visited restaurants out there or museums, etc., and you can like pull over your travel list in a matter of seconds, which is also interesting. So, and yeah, it's about like human efficiency, not like that we will lose something or it will replace again. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, I think it's a good point. You know, Sam Altman even has said that a lot of the training processing power of ChatGPT and GPT-3, 3.5, or 5, et cetera, it's focused on being used as a database and not necessarily as a reasoning engine, right? So that's, again, I guess just another point in recognizing that it's always, we need like a healthy symbiotic relationship between the two, and that plays into the control and accountability of it.
yeah, and it's sure always about the learning and improvement on different aspects of life, as we discussed. So I think we can like move on and speak more in deep about the, especially working with cold email best practice or in general with email marketing. So all those tools help us to be having like more deep personalization. Like let's say you have your database of 10,000 people, which is somehow interacting with your website or interacting with any content that you have, attending like this webinar or any other like data that you can get from all your company activities. And you can see that You can personalize even the subject lines, body emails for each and every person of your database. And like speaking about the best practices about what we did in the Folgerly, so having the up-to-date content, having right email templates there, right HTML templates there, will end up with the really high-end results, no matter what kind of crisis is out there, like in terms of economic downturn, etc. You will always have high. You will have more higher open rates, replay rates, click-through rates, and whatever. So working with all of those data will end up with the great reputation you as a sender. It will have more positive like feedback from all of those recipients that you have. So you just need to work with the data in a more easier way, and this all about across all those tools there. Address to AI new angles of email copy. So this is interesting fact. So we're always working with different email content, and not just like email content with the copywriting. And we find out that new angle that you can like easily change the tone of voice, the wording, the mood of the message, the mood of the article, and by easily like put the request like change the mood and like change the tone of voice, and we will speak about this like later on in the tools. And I guess Chelsea will explain more about the different angles of the utilizing the content in the emails here.
Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead, or are you still going through yours?
You can take over the initiative here.
Yeah, a lot of ours are all connected, so I wanted to make sure you were good on your end. The bullet points in purple or lavender, I should say, are a lot of the best practices that are derivative from our data. So we analyze millions of emails per month, and our AI tool helps users do and achieve all of these things. So we always recommend to show up to have a conversation. For sellers in particular, they're usually showing up to pitch your product right away or ask for a meeting right away. And we really recommend showing up to have a conversation. You're just trying to get your email opened, right? That's the first step. You have to get your email opened. And before you can even worry about getting a reply, you just need to show up to have a conversation and not pitch something right away. It's not a call to action, it's a call to a conversation. And you can achieve that by having a well-researched point of view. So as a seller, when you're sending a cold email, you really want to rely on strong, solid personalization to give you the right observations to lean on. So when you're emailing your prospect, you want to ensure that you're every time, so not just in the first touch, but in every email, you're reminding them why you're showing up. So, and you're bringing context on how you do that, right? So you're saying, oh, I made this observation through my research about you. You're not saying these words specifically, but you're making an observation and you're connecting that to why you're showing up. And you're using whatever you found in your research to say, this is, I hypothesize you might have this problem, and here's how I might help. So you want to make sure that you're bringing a really well-researched point of view. And the third bullet point is really like the foundation, I think, is a foundational mindset for all of these things and achieving really strong cold emails. And it's just having empathy for the reader and where they are. So one of the reasons why I'm really invested into AI and human in the loop is, as humans, we're never going to lose our need for connection. We're wired for connection. We want to connect with each other. So you have to have empathy for the reader and where they are, because that helps create a mindset for you to hit every other recommendation that we have and best practice that we have for showing up. And that'll help you achieve your results, right? Getting opens, replies, and eventually booked meetings. So remembering that your reader is your reader in your inbox, your recipient is busy. They're like us. Time and energy are our only currency. So you're interrupting their day, or you're inserting yourself in their day in their inbox, and you're asking for their time. If you get an open, you have 8 to 9 seconds to capture their attention and either get ignored, deleted, or hopefully a reply, right? So you always want to keep that empathy in mind. Remember, there's a human on the other end. And that kind of leads into the second 2 bullet points, right? So format for mobile. Most emails are written on a desktop, but the majority of emails that are read on your mobile device. So you're writing in a big box, but the majority of users are reading your email on their mobile phone. So how it looks greatly impacts how it will be received and how they respond or don't respond. So Lavender is something that can help you do that. It's just formatting your emails for mobile. And then we really focus on ensuring that your emails are written simply, clearly, and you have a tentative tonality. All of these things our data shows can really significantly increase your reply rates. And that's for cold emails, sales emails, and honestly, like all emails.
Yeah, and also I would love to add here is that as simpler your content is, it's kind of have more result at the end. We saw that on like, I guess we sent like more than 100 of email, like 100 mil of emails that we sent on the cold email outside, and I don't know how many emails on the email marketing side or those newsletters, but it's really huge. So we always pay attention to the content, make it more simpler and not like sending the long reads to our like clients, readers, subscribers. It's really crucial. And also, speaking of content here as well. So it's crucial you to change content like often. Like I think the last few webinars I said that it should be once per quarter, but now I think it would be more beneficial to change it like once per 2 week, maybe even like more often. So why? So here's the thing about the AI on the back end of the major companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. So they implementing their like best practices, they're improving their like spam policies, blacklisting, spam mechanism out there, and they starting to analyze your data as well. So what are you sending, whom you're sending to, what kind of errors you are facing, what kind of content are you sending. So here the thing and learning that like cost us a lot in terms like getting to the spam problems and then fix all those problems that emails can be labeled as a promotion emails or as a spam emails at the end. So you need always work with the content, change the content. And this is the thing that I talking about the personalization. So if you will have data to make your content unique for each and every recipient you have, you will like avoid all of those problems. So starting to think how you can like be more unique for each and every like of your recipient, even though if you have like hundred thousands of them, because at the end you like only like wanted to see the replies, click-through rates, clients that you will land from the email marketing channel. So this is the thing about the content, having the top-notch clarity content, no spam words, like the simplicity as Chelsea said, and like start to think that you can like you need to change it often. And moving next to the email
Actually,
deliverability part here.
Would you
You can
mind
add
going
it.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add one
Yeah.
thing, and then there was a question in the chat I wanted to address on the simplicity point. I think that's really important to kind of double click on, because most emails are written at a 10th grade or higher level, but our data actually shows that writing at a 3rd to 5th grade level can get you 67% more replies to your emails. So that simplicity is really important, and clarity is part of that as well. You can achieve that by writing shorter, choppier sentences. A lot of times we think we need to use big words to sound smart, but actually just being like simple is smart. So just being simple and clear, conversational, and just simple can have a significantly strong impact on your reply rates. And Galen asked about tentative tone of voice. Yes. So tentative tones, if you use tentative tones in your emails, specifically cold emails, you're not being assumptive or presumptive, right? So you don't want to assume something about your recipient. Think about how that might feel, right? As a human, if someone sends you an email and they're making an assumption just because they read your LinkedIn profile, probably doesn't feel very good. And most likely they may not be accurate. So when you're tentative, you're actually able to potentially increase your reply rates by 26%, is what we found in our data. So being tentative, not assuming, is really helpful. The stat about 5th grade reading level. So the majority of emails are written at a 10th grade level or higher. But if you write your emails at a 3rd or 5th grade, so like that range, 3rd to 5th grade writing gets 67% more replies. And again, that's kind of like how you can achieve that is similar to simplicity. So using simple words, you want to use the word like ubiquitous or ambiguous to like a fifth grader. You can kind of scan your content to see what grade level it's written at, either in Lavender, or there are tools like Hemingway app that you can also use.
It's also a great thing that you said about the like simplicity in terms of the grade. Yeah, a lot of people like wanted to like represent their company in the hard way. Like my company is doing this. We're a platform for super mega like software as a service or something. I like get in the company recently the link that was like SaaS, MaaS, us, and everything as a service. And you just starting to read it. And if you're using this in your email marketing campaign, I'm afraid this would be like poor results at the end. And yeah, so speaking about the deliverability side of things, so since it's not about like only the content and emails structured on the following things like domain, mailbox, content, leads, and the content, the crucial things and important, but you also need to pay attention to all those entities, how you set up your domain for each and every outreach, for each and every email that goes from the domain. And by meaning that, I mean what kind of settings you have under your GoDaddy account, Cloudflare account, which is allow you to send all those emails from Gmail or Outlook or any other tools that you are using. And this is the thing that all of our clients like have a problem with. So they have a lot of tools like paying a lot of money to Outreach, MailChimp, any other tools, but never have like great technical setup in order to perform great marketing campaigns even before the step of the content and the leads, etc. So there's the crucial step that you need to take care of. And yeah, so content, mailbox, the mailbox, all those entities have their own story. And as that being said, your domain have your sender reputation score, which is based on what emails are you sending, what kind of content are you sending, how people interact with your content. So there's the crucial thing that people needed to interact with your content in the right way. And like having this all together, as the best practices, we implemented this on the backend of Folgely, and by meaning and utilizing the AI as an example, the first case study for today. So we utilizing the AI on the backend of our system, ensuring the high email deliverability by working with all of those data, like with your domain reputation, with your mailbox reputation, with your cohort stats of your like entire send outs from all of those entities, and taking the fact what kind of content are you sending, and wholly analyzing this based on the data that Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and all those big email service providers get after interacting with you as a sender. So also wanted to highlight one more thing that Chelsea said. So why content is important. So a lot of our clients like using the same like content, email content for years, and say that we're using this content for years. We're getting like hundreds of thousands of clients with this template, but for some reason on the next day you have like drastic decreasement of all of those performance engagements with your emails, and as a result your content was blacklisted. And since all of those AI like booming, a lot of those companies adopting it, Google with Gmail, Microsoft with Outlook implemented it already, and it helps them to analyze the sequences and the emails that you are sending to your subscribers. So Google and others understands if there is automated email, and if there is the same content for like hundreds of people out there that getting your emails, and your score is decreasing. So this is why important to having as a more unique setup as you could, taking the content personalization as a part, taking the right settings from the technical standpoint. And yes, so with the Folgely, we bounded all this together to have this within the system. And wanted to pass mic to Chelsea, and she will go over the Lavender as well.
Yeah, a lot of really great points to help people stay out of the spam filter. That's really great. So for anyone who's not familiar with Lavender, shout out to Jenny Bloom in the chat who said she uses it. We're an AI email coach. We help thousands of sellers around the world write better emails faster, increase reply rates, positive reply rates. Our tool actually sits in the inbox, so it can help you get started with an email. It gives your email a score based on our data of what works and our best practices. And then it helps you find and fix what can be improved to actually maximize your chance of getting an open reply rate or higher reply. It can also give you, or it brings the personalization into the inbox. So it helps save time. You're not flipping from tab to tab. It helps create some more efficiency in your process. It can optimize your emails for mobile. So we were talking about mobile optimization earlier. So we can show you what your email will look like on a mobile device in light mode and dark mode on a smartwatch. It's pretty cool. And we also have a coaching dashboard. So it analyzes your emails as well as your emails across your team to identify specific areas where you can improve. So a lot of the examples we've talked about with AI so far, namely ChatGPT, because it's just more mainstream these days. It's a lot of short term, right? So I use it for research or idea generation. That's all kind of short term things. But the really fun thing about Lavender is it's not just helping you write an email in the moment, but it helps you get better over time. So it's impactful for the long-term use, and it helps you continually improve your writing and your emails over time.
Nice. Also, guys, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. After the webinar, we'll have Q&A session. So we'll be happy to answer all those questions that we already collected over the chat. So there's a lot of questions there. So speaking of more real life examples of adopting the AI, we also will share it after the webinar, as at least with the AI prompting for you guys. So a lot of people already adopt the AI, and the results are crazy. For instance, I wanted to start with American Marketing Association, which is boost newsletter engagement by implementing customer intelligence personalizations there. Solution called russet.io, and there's like plenty of solutions that can like send and personalize your emails, but it's not about the solution, but about the case itself. So basically they use some tool in order to get like 42 increase of the engagement with their newsletter by having the custom subject line per all their like 100,000 subscriber base. So you can imagine how those email templates looks like based on the data that they gather after the years of being out there. They have their custom personalized subject lines for everyone, like, hey John, I saw you were on the webinar or read the article there, and you have all those personalized 100,000 of emails going from their domain, which is crazy. And after you're getting those emails, you think that this company cares about you, and they know that you're reading, that you're like loyal partner of theirs, which is really great. So there's the one of the great usability cases of the like AI adoption on data segmentation side, getting the segmentation as the variables over the email, and as a result, you will see that your emails like will crush with the results there. More cases. So 3 companies, Dell as a hardware, so they also use it AI to segment their customers base and send more custom messages for their individuals on each and every step of their customer acquisition journey, like taking effect email marketing, the newsletters, the social engagement, mobile engagement, basically even though phone calls. So they combined every data aspects of the data that they have, and they utilizing the behavior, not just the data, but how users like answering, replying, opening the emails, and sending those custom messages to those individuals. As a result, they seeing increasement the like 50% in the click rates. Grammarly and the hustle from HubSpot. So Grammarly is the another AI writing assistant, which has helped you to personalize the content there with the writing style and preferences. And good use case that they increase the click-through rates of their customers for 40%. Hustle from HubSpot. They have really great newsletter, as great as the Morning Brew newsletter. They're starting to use AI to segment their audience as well to deliver personalized content. You probably if we will collect like all those 100 people that are listening to webinar, we're getting different content from Hustle 100%, which is end up also with increasement in open rates. So to like summarize all those cases, use AI not just for like text generation or content generation. Use it to work with the data, be personalized, and let it like be your like left right hand in personalization, writing styles, mood, and as Chelsea like highlight, make your email simpler with all of that, because we all have like our own products, our own services, and it can be like really hard for our end customer to embrace, understand what we are sending them, what is all about, etc. So it's simple working with the data, and all of those companies out there, like bigger guys like Amazon, Google, always work with our data as well, with our emails, with all the content, with advertising data in order to grow and utilize all those cases.
Yeah, those are wonderful.
Something?
Yeah. Those are all wonderful. To kind of complement that on the Lavender side, we work with a lot of really amazing customers, from Twilio to Affinity and Demand-Based and Doso. Masterclass is a newer one. And most of our users see, I think our average is a 20.5% reply rate. Sendoso, for example, when we work with them, they 4x'd their reply rate. And one of my favorite stories is from affinity.co. They, I think it was 9x'd their reply rate, and they tripled their outbound pipeline, specifically from cold email. So just really exciting to see people using Lavender as like you said, like it's why we call it a coach, right? It's like you're sitting in the driver's seat and our AI is in the passenger seat, kind of helping you. It's just great to see our customers and your customers see like these results are just so great to see that the technology is helping people this way.
Right. That's true. And I also prepared another crazy case by adapting we're like talking a lot about the like GPT and other like text narrow generation, but taking the fact that Heinz utilized the Dale to generate images and visuals, and taking the fact that Midjourney and Stable Fusion doing their really great job in order to generate graphic content. And this case is interesting because the people who utilizing those visual narrow like products, they starting to generate like basically images of the ketchup out there, and it always on the shape of the Heinz ketchup. And Heinz saw that AI thinks that the ketchup is the Heinz ketchup always, all the time. And they gathered all of those like pictures, images, and starting their own advertising campaign, because all those kind of AI trained on the data out there, and it's ended up that like Heinz is the only ketchup out there for the reason, and they utilizing this over their social media campaigns and advertising campaigns, which is end up and it's like I think it's 30% in sales, growth in sales in specific regions there, so which is really crazy. Yeah, and this another like case of utilization of the AI, and this particular was another OpenAI product. Also, I strongly suggest you to like having a sandbox with the Midjourney. You will be impressed of the quality of images out there. So you basically can like start your own product, basically with no copywriters, with no designers, only you as a founder. Try to grow your product by utilizing all those data and knowledge out there, and you probably can succeed because you will have all necessary tools out there. You obviously need to work hard in order to push your startup, but you can like be more efficient with implementing all those practices. So yeah, questions. Happy to answer all those questions over the chat that we have, and we have like plenty of questions. And let's start with the first, and this is the thing that I already answered about the recording. We will share the recording. Also, we will share the list of the AI prompts that you can work with, both like GPT and Midjourney. So you will see by your own experience how you can be more efficient with this, utilizing our experience. And we will also share all those cases, and there's like plenty more cases that we can share with you guys, and you will see how all those companies implemented in their companies. So first question, are you actually training your employees to use AI in their day-to-day tasks? So happy to answer this. So before the GPT boomed in November, I get an alpha test in September or so, and I'm starting to use it and wonder how it can be my personal assistant there. And I'm starting to do workshops with my team that they can like generate content headlines. My SEO guys can generate keywords, and they can basically utilize it. And also there is like another case that I shared yesterday with my search engine team, that some company like casual something, they implemented AI generated content, and they from the like January this year up to date, they increased their website traffic from 100,000 monthly visitors to almost 1 million, utilizing the only AI generated content as their main SEO strategy, which is also the good usability case. So yeah, I'm strongly suggest always like share the knowledge of the AI. We also have like in our Slack and our Notion page a huge knowledge base of utilizing those prompts, how to get the logic request to get your jobs done. And we're always getting all those data. And once in a while, like I guess once per month, we're doing this work session about the AI trends and the recent cases that we use it. Also, how on your end, like Chelsea, how you implemented the AI knowledge for entire team?
Yeah, I mean, we strongly encourage it. And a lot of it has to do with, we're a small team, so we're an early stage startup. And a lot of it is just inherent in everyone to kind of naturally be interested. We all use AI in various ways, various AI tools. So a lot of the learning comes from that, and just using it, always staying up to date on what's happening on AI as it pertains to our product, of course. We do a lot of internal just like knowledge sharing. So kind of, I would definitely encourage every company, I think, needs to have some element of internal coaching and training, whether it is really regimented, whether it is just organic. I think it's a great thing to kind of like to start fostering. So we definitely do that internally. And as a product-led company, we're kind of always surrounded by that weekly. So it's just kind of organic and fun to kind of keep each other up to speed.
Yeah, that's nice. So like moving next, you already answered about the tentative tone of voice. Mm-hmm. Good question from Josh. So I've heard that AI leaves traces. Mm-hmm. Could this be problematic with the cold emails, assuming that it's used to help write a copy? So 100%. So there is, even though if you will put to, let's say, GPT, the content that it generated, and you will ask, did you write this? And it will end up like, yes, I write this because I have this kind of knowledge in my like database. So it is tracking, like they have those traces, but people starting to do the following thing. So they generated, let's say, article. So next step would be change tone of voice, then change like, let's say, grade of the wording, simplify it, and you have like few interactions and avoid using the just first result from like your request. But you have this kind of more logic process where you having additional polishing questions in order to give your kind of content uniqueness. And the fact that that's the case that it said that SEO AI generated content over the blog increase the monthly visitors and pass all those Google bots, Microsoft bots from the search engine optimization standpoint. It's only the matter like how you use it, because if you will just like generate content, then you will have the machine that always like copy pasting the content from your blog, from let's say WordPress or like what you're using. So it will like end up that you will be blacklisted by those bots. So 100% it leaving the traces. So you just need to be more like use human-centric and like efficient approach to all those content that you are generating. Moving next, what is the optimal solution for mailbox reputation management then? So I would say Folgely 100% because we build it and it's not about like building solution. It's all about the technology that we used on the like fundamental level. So we're working on the Folgely side with a feedback loop from all those kind of major ESPs out there in to help us to understand how people interact with your domain, mailbox content, and deletes. And as a result, we know why you're blacklisted, why you have poor engagement. Is the content problem, or maybe it's another problem? So it's Folgely, and another product that I would recommend is Validity. Also, I guess we will share it after the webinar email. So a few tools that you can manage your sender reputation, but they are really big. So next question, and I guess it would be for you, Chelsea. Like, what email deliverability percent on Lavender and the current daily send limit from Alex?
So we don't limit or have full control of deliverability, right? Because we're not an execution tool. So that really is set by whatever tool that we're on top of. So we work with Gmail, Outlook, SalesLoft, other sales engagement platforms. So that rate or that limit is really set by those platforms. In terms of current daily send limit, same thing. Although when it comes to cold emails and sales emails, we definitely recommend not setting more than 50 a day for that same deliverability potential impact.
That's interesting. Also, another question from Sergey. So somewhat related to cold email. What are your thoughts on including screenshot inside a cold email? We like to include screenshot and highlight things inside the screenshot. I have decent reply open rate, but if I do a bulk, yeah, so good thing. So try to avoid like make your email heavier in the first email, it including attachments, images, and all and kind of all those stuff that can like lead into increasing the weight of your email, even though including the links. So in from our experience, we are including those after answer of the particular like person or subscriber or recipient, or it would be like third or fourth step in the email sequence, but never first, because you need to pass all of those verification from the spam mechanism on the Gmail backend and the Microsoft backend in order to pass to inbox first. So that's the tricky thing if you are sending this kind of like handwritten to one person, another person, but if you will send a bulk, you will 100% like end up in spam with the spam problems. What's the response rate on the cold email, cold call, or considered a good ratio? So taking the matter that for the email, so open rate and reply rate, the main metrics, and the click-through rate. So from our experience, the good open rates, it's about the 50%, 60%. It's a really good open rate. And in terms of the reply rate, up to 25% on average is the good. If you have more, you are a god of email marketing. If you have less, it's area of improvement. And click-through rate. So from our experience, 5-10% is okay. More is wonderful. Lower than 1% is really bad. What do you think, Chelsea?
Yeah. You're speaking about email marketing emails?
Yeah.
So for cold email, it's definitely a little different. So if you ask Google, you're going to see a range from like 0 to 3% as being an average cold email response rate, or about like 3 to 8% as being a cold average response rate. A lot of the studies are all over the place. We see like 1 to 5 definitely being like more of an average cold email reply rate, which is pretty low, right? Especially compared to the marketing stats that Vlad shared. So that I would say is average. So you can compare that to when I say like our average users say like get a 20.5% reply rate. Anything above that around there is really good.
Good. And also the interesting question from Herschel. So AI makes life so much more easier. Will not it lead to hiring cuts as the number of people required to do the same work would decrease the right by making the use of the data and coming up with a personal content easier? So yeah, 100%. All of those kind of layoffs that like started to be from the like beginning of the quarter, the reason of doing that from the bigger companies, not just that they end up with the bad results of their quarters, that not that they expected, but that's that with the AI they can like be more efficient. So there's the 100%. But again, circling back to the topic that we also discussed, so no one can change or do something with your logic. So if you're like doing your work like logically using the AI prompting as your hard skill that you can like work on and be more efficient within your job. So I guess you can never afraid of being replaced by anything, because it's all about the dedication, learning curve as us as a personality. So that's simple. The next question, yeah, and we have like a lot of questions to go, so we will like do it more quicker. So are there AI programs that that plugins with the MailChimp and HubSpot? So depending on what you wanted to achieve. So if you wanted to be more efficient with the content, there's like plenty of tools. You just can like simply Google it, and I think we can share it also with you. If you wanted to do like data analysis, also with AI, also implemented within any like CRM systems, and it's really depend on what thing we wanted to implement out there. And next question, the recording, yes, recording will be shared. We will 100% will share it with all those AI prompts and with all those data that we're discussing today, with case studies of those companies that implemented AI. Also, some of our listeners already shared that HubSpot already quickly integrates their AI, and also they already created their GPT version that's working with your data within the HubSpot. So it worth to look into it. Yes. So I guess the last question would be from Mirza. So I outreach to different regions. Should I schedule the email based on the email, the client time zone, or send it on your time? So that's the good question. So it would be better if you will send, if you get if the time zone of your subscribers, it will be really great if you will get to the matter of time. Like there is a lot of schedules over the internet when the people are reading their emails, and this is the same thing related to content posting or the social networks. So if you're like posting and your target audience, the US based companies, so you need to do this kind of in the morning or after the entire workday. So this 100%. So strongly suggest to stick to the client time zone if you have all those data. So it's again about the personalization. Last question. So yeah, last question, guys, and we can finalize the webinar. So do you have any prompts that are more focused on the B2C rather than B2B? What are the same factors to consider when drafting an email with the AI when it comes to targeted individual instead of businesses? Can you answer that, Chelsea, with Lavender experience about the personalization?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you tackle the first part because we don't offer prompts, but in terms of factors to consider when drafting an email with AI when it comes to targeting an individual instead of a business. So a lot of it goes back to our best practices, right, that we recommended. So remembering there's a human on the other end. And if you're using AI, I think the biggest, to draft the email, the biggest thing I think is not to use it verbatim, right? Use it to get you started. If you're stuck, use it to kind of get some ideas flowing. You can also feed in the prompt itself, you can feed it best practices, right? So if you're struggling with the subject line, you can say, write me a subject line about X. Make sure it's no more than 1 to 3 words, which is what our data shows is the best thing to do for your subject line. Don't use verbs, punctuation, superlatives. Like, you can basically feed it best practices, like give it parameters and give it guidelines. And then it'll at least spit something back that follows best practices. So it's not just giving you, like, if you ask ChatGPT to write an email, it's going to give you something really long and it's going to score really poorly in Lavender, which means it's not going to perform very well. So I guess that would be my recommendation. Feed it best practices and be really specific in your prompt. And I would say, like, don't use 100% of what it gives you. Trust but verify whatever it spits out at you, and then use your personalization, like, as a human, not just from your personalization research, but really lean on that to make it a little more human, because Gmail, as well as your reader, will know if it is written by AI.
Perfect. So we did it. We answered all those questions. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. It was our pleasure to cover the AI. And yes, we will share everything after the webinar's email. So yeah, thank you, Chelsea, for accompanying. It was my pleasure, like, giving this webinar with you to our listeners.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone for joining, and thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And yeah, take care, everyone. Bye.
Cheers.